My name is Chris Stark. I was a Florida House District 37 candidate until I got primaried, not by my competition, but by the Republican Party itself. At the end of April, I received a call from the party telling me that they didn't know I was running and they had already endorsed my competition, to which my reply was, well, then why are you calling me? At this point, I was too busy running my campaign to realize the implications of what I was told. However, this phone call stuck in my head. So after the primary, I decided to do a little digging, and what I found was shocking. I went on the Florida Department of State website and went through all the House and Senate races, which had 2 or more Republican candidates. I found there were 22 candidates in contested primaries who were funded by the Republican Party of Florida and given over $1.1 million. Imagine my further surprise when I correlated the data and found that all 22 candidates in the House and Senate races who were funded won their primary. I knew something wasn't right about these numbers, so I decided to look up the party rules and bylaws, and the Republican County Model Constitution dated June 1st, 2022. It stated in Article 2 of Objectives, letter G, in general, to uphold the principles of freedom, equality, and justice on which the Republican Party and the government of this nation is founded, as set forth in the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida. How is funding one candidate over another upholding the principles of freedom and equality? Then I moved on to the Republican Party of Florida Rules and Procedures, rule number 8. The State Executive Committee may endorse, screen, or recommend candidates in contested Republican primaries only upon unanimous approval of the Executive Board and the approval of 60% of the State Executive Committee at a meeting called for that purpose and which a quorum is present. That being said, was there a formal endorsement given? Was there a meeting? Was there a unanimous vote taken? Many candidates were given money by the Florida House Republican Campaign Committee, which is a subsidiary of the Republican Party of Florida, even before the qualification period. I thought to myself, how did they make this decision and shell out cash to these candidates before the qualification period? How were they sure that there would be no other candidates running who would be more qualified? Rule B. Rule 8B states, county executive committees may endorse, certify, screen, or recommend a Republican candidate in a contested Republican primary or a registered Republican in a nonpartisan election, including judicial races where it's legally permissible, or a local unitary special general election by either of the 2 methods. 1. Upon the affirmation vote of not less than 60% of the county executive committee present and voting at a duly called meeting complying with notice of requirements set forth below, provided that the number voting to endorse represents a majority of the full committee, or 2, upon the affirmative vote that not less than 2/3 of those present and voting at such meeting, provided that a quorum is present at the time the vote is taken, each announced candidate shall be likewise notified that a vote on endorsement is to be taken and that he or she will be allowed to speak at such meeting in support or opposition to any proposed endorsement, certification, or recommendation for an office for which he or she is a candidate. As I know, there was no meeting to screen or endorse at the county level because, as it stated, all announced candidates will be notified that a vote is to be taken and that they will be allowed to speak in support or opposition to any proposed endorsement. None of us were given this opportunity to speak, nor were we even notified that a vote would be taken. Rule number 9, Oath of Party Loyalty states, a condition of membership on a Republican Executive Committee, each county Republican Executive Committee and state Republican Executive Committee member must sign and file an oath of party loyalty in the following form. I swear or affirm that during my term of party office, I will not actively, publicly, or financially support the election of any candidate, 1, seeking election against Republican Party's nominee in a partisan, unitary, general, or special election that includes a Republican nominee, or 2, who is not registered Republican and is seeking election against a registered Republican in a nonpartisan election, except that this provision does not apply to judicial races under Chapter 105 Florida statutes. I further swear or affirm that in my capacity as a Republican Executive Committee member, I will not support, in a contested Republican primary election, the nomination of one Republican candidate over another, or in a nonpartisan election, the election of one registered Republican over another, unless the Executive Committee has voted to endorse that candidate in accordance with RPOF Rule Number 8. All this being said, how can the party arbitrarily decide to fund one candidate over another without going through the proper procedures? Another interesting part is that I've not only reached out to all the candidates who were done wrong by the party and formed a coalition, but have reached out to a plethora of media outlets with our story and have received really no interest. My question is, are they in on it? Don't they want free and fair elections, or are they happy with the party selecting for them? I can't imagine the public wouldn't be interested to find out that they really have no choice in who they vote for in the general election, as the preferred establishment candidates have already been chosen for them. In my views, this all constitutes election interference. Why bother with primaries? Why not just have candidates apply to the party, and those who are favored can automatically go to the general? Meanwhile, candidates like myself can save the thousands of dollars in personal funds as opposed to wasting them for nothing. Please share this video so we can get the truth out about how broken the system is. The continuation of our republic depends on it. Thank you.